Hey, here it is. You know what? Forgot. No, I don't want that in the dark. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Something to risk. Yeah, we live dangerously. Hello. Hello. Hey, Gabon. Hey, Tundra. How are you? Can you all see? First time on a new machine here. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check. Hey. Hey, buddy, what's up with this? I can't do that? Fuck. This is kind of annoying. Why is it? Okay. Why is. Okay. That's a weird one. I'm just gonna leave out. I'm just gonna log out of this thing. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Why is there no, like, blow up window? Okay. Yeah, right, you can see in here. Hey, Tilted, how are you? Yeah. That had to be the weirdest. Why in the world was there no option to blow up the screen? Hey, seagull over by the bay. Or seagull over the bay. Yeah. Okay. That is the strangest thing. Why in the world there is no, expand the screen full screen option on DuckDuckGo, but there is a full screen option in Brave. That's like really strange. Okay. Well, at any rate, hello everyone. Yeah. Welcome. Another Thursday. Weather's starting to get nice. World of cybersecurity is still, well, always. Let's say things are interesting right now, and not in a great way. But so the usual introduction. Hello, I'm Ming Chow, teaching professor at Tufts. Second to last episode of the spring. So how did yesterday's class go over? So the Zoom actually came back. So it's funny. Hey Tom. Hey Mads. Hello. So it's funny that something. Hold on. I can actually tell you what happened. Hold on. I'm just gonna. I just saw this moments ago. It's crazy. So about the Zoom outage. Here it is. So it came back right on time, but the block was a result of a communication error between Mark Marta, GoDaddy, like mistakenly. Okay, GoDaddy accidentally shut down the Zoom domain. There you go. You talk about interesting time being in cybersecurity right now. There's the reason why. You know what I'm gonna do? Bookmark this tab. Yep, the reason GoDaddy mistakenly shut down Zoom.us domain. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So there's your reason. That is your Zoom outage. I need work. I think a lot of people need work. You know, a lot of people actually need work. But to, like, looking. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are looking for opportunities. It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, and the economy is extremely volatile right now. But today I'm going to take a strip down. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane today. So I used to do some work with law enforcement, and here we are. Many years later, still have great recollection, great memories working with law enforcement and forensics. Um, yeah, we're gonna do forensics today. So the idea of forensics is, oh shit, you know, an incident, a serious incident has happened. I mean, that ranges from anything like a harassment case, malware, uh, which we did last week, um, even things like child pornography, which is like you got to get law enforcement involved for that, insurance fraud, financial fraud, accounting fraud, that also goes to law enforcement. Yeah, so it ranges the gamut of severity. So what we're going to do today, okay? Yeah, that's one place I don't look at on Reddit. When I'm on Reddit, I don't go to CS majors or any of the academics at all. So today, what we are going to do, there's a couple of hands-on outcome today. One of them is going to be how you acquire data from a disk using a tool called DD. We're going to analyze an image of a disk that was created from DD using forensics tools including Autopsy, SaluteKit, and Foremost, which are all open source. And what a lot of people are finally looking for is how to recover recover files off of a disk. We're going to finally learn how to recover files that were deleted with straight RM. Which was one of the big reasons why I asked that question on the first lab of the entire semester, the Linux commands lab. So imagine this scenario is you have been attacked, compromised, or involved in a criminal incident. So you gotta ask the question, who, what, when, where, why? What's the evidence? What happened? When did this all happen? People who were involved. So this is a scenario, and it's a very common scenario. And that doesn't have to be a criminal. It could be at an academic institution. It could be a big problem at a lot of academic institutions is research fraud. And research integrity, especially if the funding is given by government. Uh, and there's been a few incidents of academic violations, like that stuff. That's not fun to deal with. That really, really hurt the credibility of not only the researcher, and especially the university as well, too. Um, and in fact, this was very recent in Indiana that happened. So, what is forensics? Now, here's the whole idea of forensics. It's not like what you see on CSI, the TV shows, okay? Um, some of that is true. A lot of that is all drama for ratings. But forensics boils down to really answering all those who, what, when, where, why questions of an incident. Forensics is the preservation of computer media, identification of computer media, extraction, and of course, very important, the interpretation and the documentation of everything that was identified and extracted. Please note that when you do a documentation, when you do interpretation, chances are you will be in the court of law to present your findings. So the process boils down to assess the situation, acquire, analyze, and report. Assess the situation also include bagging and tagging evidence such as your phone, um, your phone, USB drive, hard drive, list goes on. Um, Funny thing is, just very recently, I was given 2 boxes of forensics gear, donated it all to one was an old friend who used to be in law enforcement. I want to give a shout out to my friend Larry and to my friend Brandon for at his school. Gave the other stuff to his school. But before you do anything, especially if you're dealing with a criminal case, you know, if you're dealing with a criminal case, if you suspect that someone had really committed a crime, the first thing is before you go in and start taking and bagging and tagging evidence, you need to actually apply. You need to apply for a search warrant, and this is how a search warrant looks like in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is it's a very simple sheet. You know, you know, this is your application. Then it needs to be signed, and once that's approved, here is an example of what a search warrant looks like. So a search warrant, as here it is. It's 2 pages. You are there commanded to go to this place and this place that you actually marked in your application. You know, you have to do this all within 7 days of your with the issuance of the search warrant. Okay, you're also allowed to conduct this during at night. Yada yada yada. And here is a worksheet. You're probably gonna need more paper. This is where you actually list all the boxes and all the stuff that you have taken from the scene of the crime. Okay? So, first and foremost, before you do anything, get it, especially if it's a criminal case, we're going to assume a criminal case, go get a search warrant. So now I want to give you some definitions, some definitions to work with. Volatile and non-volatile data. Now, I'm sure some of you folks have heard the term volatile quite a bit over the last month or so, thanks to the economy. But volatile data is data that changes all the time, very often, sometimes within seconds. We're talking about memory processes. Non-volatile data include like the hard disk, USB drives, disks that, won't change. They're like the physical disk. Think of it that way. So now there's also 2 types of acquisitions that you can do. Now, assuming that you have your hands on either volatile or non-volatile data, there is physical acquisition and also logical acquisition. Now, let's say, for example, hold on. Uno momento, por favor. I need to get out. Get the toys out. Okay, I'm back. Here we go. I'm back. And let's say I have non-volatile data, which is this USB. This is a USB drive, an external hard drive, 2 terabytes. Okay, so this is 2 terabytes, a 2 terabyte drive. Physical acquisition is a bit-by-bit copy of this entire 2 terabyte drive. Okay, so 2 terabytes is a lot of data. Now, bit-by-bit copy of a 2 terabyte drive has good and bad. The good thing with a bit-by-bit copy of this 2 terabyte drive is you get a copy of everything, of this entire drive. That's the great news. You get a copy of everything. The bad news is, and there's a couple of bad news, you do a bit-by-bit copy of 2 terabyte drive like this, it's gonna take a long time. I mean, it's gonna take a while. I mean, back in the days, even when you did the 80 gigabyte drive, 80 gigabyte, that could take hours. I mean, that could take like 4 to 6 hours. Okay. Um, the other bad news is if you do a bit by bit copy of an entire drive like this, 2 terabyte, it takes a long time, but it's gonna be a lot of data. You get a copy of all the data on this thing. But that's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to need to look forward to. And number three, there's a third problem if you're trying to do a bit by bit copy of an entire drive. By default, like copying tools like DD, if like the drive is corrupted, if there's a corrupt, like the whole copying fails, it sucks when that happens. The alternative is this. You do what is called a logical acquisition. You only do a bit by bit copy of only certain directories and files that you need. A good example is an Android phone. An Android phone, the architecture is very well known. There is user stuff and then there's system level stuff. You don't care if you don't care about the system level stuff, that's fine. You only need to make a copy of like the user stuff that is stored on, let's say, a certain part of the drive or the SD card. The good news is, well, a bit by bit copy of certain folders and directories, it takes a lot shorter. The bad news is, you're not going to get a copy of everything. What if you miss something? Forget it. Okay? Write blockers. Now, hey Sean, how are you? Hey man, man, it feels like yesterday I saw you at the airport. Feels like yesterday I saw you at the airport. Um, Feel free to chime in. Sean Valley used to be the CISO of a very, very big cybersecurity company based in Boston. Sean and I go way back. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. It means a lot. So feel free to chime in and chat with anyone. Hey, make yourself a home. So one thing is before you are doing like a copy, a bit by bit copy of an entire physical store like this, you don't want to make sure that anyone is writing to the drive. That could corrupt the evidence that you are collecting. And the way you actually prevent, quote unquote, anything writing to the disk while you're doing copy is using a tool called a device called a write blocker. Now, a write blocker is a physical device that you connect your drive to directly. And it's going to prevent any sort of writing to the drive while you're doing your acquisition. You can only read, you cannot write. I'll show you a picture of what a write blocker looks like. They're a couple $100. I have friends that carry one everywhere they go for safety reasons. Here, I'll show you. Write blocker. Here it is. Here's how a write blocker looks like. Tableau. Tableau makes the best write blockers around. So a write blocker looks something like this. There's a power. One end goes to your computer, another end goes to the drive that you are trying to copy and collect information out of. Okay? And so what happens is your computer will still see the drive. The only big difference is there's absolutely no way that there is any sort of writing to the drive. Absolutely none at all. Okay? So, they're a couple $100. If you're taking any forensics course, they may give you one as part of the course now. Of course, there's a fee to it. The one issue that I have with forensics tools and stuff, is compatibility and cables. There's so much cables. I mean, cables for so much different devices. Oh, yeah, I don't miss those days. Yeah, I don't miss that. I don't want to have more stuff floating around. But yeah, cables. Chain of custody is the idea, is the process of documenting everything from, start to finish. The warrant, the seizure, the transfer, analysis, and even disposal of evidence. Okay? So why would you? Okay, the questions to ponder: what would possibly go wrong if you don't use a write blocker to acquire the evidence or data? I didn't answer this question previously, but here is one thing I have actually seen in a case if you don't use a write blocker. So what happened was somehow the attackers realized, something must be up with the systems. So we have remote attackers that are realizing, oh, I think that the feds may be on the scene right now to seize all the devices and evidence. So yeah, we're gonna do a remote kill of all the data of the system. We're gonna do a remote kill of the system. Now we're gonna erase everything. And so what happens is the attackers send a signal to start wiping out data off of the drives while the collection, and boom. That doesn't help your case at all. So what happens is if you do use a write blocker, even if you try to send a kill signal, it's like, oh, too bad, nope, can't write anything to the drive, can't do it. No, only read only. Okay, what are the pros and cons of physical with the logical acquisition? I answered that previously. Okay, so what forensics tools? What are they? Believe it or not, and this is another reason why I tell people, I ask the question, tell me something that you've learned in this course. Believe it or not, you already know quite a bit of the forensics tools the tools that are used in forensics. Strings, the checksums, the hash functions, cryptographic hash functions. The one that we haven't used is DD, which is I'm going to show you next. There is forensic toolkit. EnCase is a commercial, but it is still like the standard for at any law enforcement agency for forensics. StegDetect, SleuthKit, and Autopsy. Like those are the big ones. Like those are the big forensic suites. Believe it or not, how they work under the hood, they all operate using, well, the tools that you all already know. Like underneath the hood, they run a lot of string. They run a lot of like the checksum function. And then foremost, that was developed by the Department of Defense. That's one of my favorite tools to recover anything without needing to use like a forensic suite. Okay. Now is demo time. Now is demo. I don't think I'm gonna need slides for the rest of the day. I think I'm gonna minimize this for now. I don't think I'm gonna need to come back to it, but what I do need is something called a terminal. All right. So here is my terminal, and let's say one thing is to just be very clear. I don't have a write blocker. I got rid of everything. I'm trying to like get rid of so much stuff and go minimal. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to collect. We're gonna pretend we're gonna collect evidence, some evidence, off of this 2 terabyte USB-C external hard drive. So what we're going to do is this. I'm gonna plug it in. Okay. Actually, before I plug in, now on Mac OS land, one thing that the command line tool that you should know of to list disk is called diskUtil. diskUtil is the command line version of the graphical disk utility. Disk utility. Yay! Disk utility. Disk utility. Boom. Okay? Disk util is a command line version of the graphical tool. Alright? So you can see all the disks that are mounted on your system, including external hard drives. And why is that important? You'll see in a few moments. So you can do disk util list. There you go. Disk util list, and you can see all the disks that is currently on my Mac. Okay? You can see all the different partitions. Okay? You can see all the partitions. So if you're gonna, you see all these identifiers here. Okay? All these identifiers you can use if you actually do /dev/ disk3s1, like this one right here. This is an 11.2 gigabyte disk. You're doing a logical part. You're trying to do a logical acquisition of this 11.2 Macintosh HD hard drive. Okay, nice. Now let's plug this thing in. All right. There it is. I have my personal hard. I'm not going to open it up. No, I'm not going to do that. But I am going to go back and do a disk util list again. And now you notice that once I plugged in the external hard drive, you see there's a new disk that is listed. /dev/disk4. /dev/disk4 is the entire 2 terabyte external hard drive I just plugged in. So now let's do a full bit by bit copy of the entire hard drive that I just plugged in. We're going to do the full disk /dev/disk4. We do need this. That is why I got to show you disk util. Now I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to go to my desktop. And my desktop is completely clean. Nothing on here. Now, if you want to do a logical acquisition, physical acquisition, the Bonafide tool, the most famous tool for copying stuff is DD. DD is available on any system, Mac OS, Linux. Now, fun trivia question for everyone here. Before I hit the enter key on ManDD, can anyone tell me here? Take a guess. Here's a trivia question. What does DD stands for? Fun question. What do you think DD stands for? Okay, we got Mommy says disk download. Okay, anyone? Anyone else? Good guess, DD. Very good guess. Excellent disk download, okay. Anyone else? There's a good reason why I asked this question. Disk data, okay. So, are you ready to get your mind blown? DD, and I learned this from the HTCIA many years ago. I'm still mind blown by it. The HTCIA is the High Tech Crimes Investigation Association. Yep, the High Technology Cyber they call it the Cyber Investigation. It used to be High Tech Crimes Investigation Association. Want to give a shout out to the HTCIA to help get me started. They got my career started. I haven't been a paying member since like 2014. But what they did, the connections I made through the HTCIA was like lasted for a lifetime. Some of the people I know are still involved. A lot of the law enforcement members I worked with, they're all retired now. In order to be a member, you do need to have two people to vouch for you. Um, that being said, I want to give a shout out to Medford Police, Larry James and J.J. McLean. Um, yeah, they're both retired now. Met them at the Linfield Sheridan Hotel at a VMware conference of all places, and got to know them well. In 2004, 2005, 2006, around that time, they signed me in to HTCIA, and only good times. And the holiday parties for the New England chapter were always bangers, total bangers. It was amazing. Oh yeah. So DD stands for convert and copy. Wait, what the fuck? Yeah. DD stands for convert and copy. Yeah. DD stands for convert and copy. Like, wait a minute. Wait, what? How was that possible? Okay. It is very possible. Now, here's a little brief history of Unix, of the Unix or operating system. Remember back in the ye good old days, people didn't like to type. So how people usually type were like two finger salute. You know, think about it. Notice how, I don't know if the folks have ever realized, some of the most important commands are 2 characters long. LS, RM, CD, MV. Okay. You can even do DIR. Yeah, that's how people type back then. 2 fingers, like MB, you know. Uh, but CC, it's a C compiler. Yeah, so if you do CC right now it's just a shortcut for what you folks probably have used. Either it's a shortcut for GCC. Yeah. So unfortunately, the idea of convert and copy is supposed to be CC, but CC was already taken by the C compiler. So now, the only option is, oh well, CC is already taken. We'll just bump up each and every letter and we will call it DD. There. There. So now you know. So I'm going to go back to the man page of DD. And using DD is really, really trivial. It only takes in only 2 arguments. So DD utility copies the standard input to the standard output. Input data is read and written, and here's the caveat: 512 byte blocks. Yeah. So, now if we go back, and my desktop is clean, okay? So if I go back and go disk util list again, the drive we're going to copy is /div/disk4. That is the label, the name of my external hard drive. Now I'm going to clear the screen. So now if you want to do a bit-by-bit copy of the drive, you type in DD space input file equals output file equals. The input file is going to be /div/disk4, which is my entire external hard drive. And then my out file, you can name it whatever you want, whatever file extension that you want. And that is going to be something like, you're going to name your file to be like outfile.dd or .iso or .img, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to hit the enter key right now. Oh, the permission is denied. You have to go sudo. And after, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. Alright, so 7.42 seconds, have how many bytes were transferred? 768.7 megabytes were transferred. Okay. Alright. Now, one of the problems with DD is you're not going to see output until the very end. It can suck. So, you're not going to see any, no verbose, no warnings, no nothing until the very end when the disk is finished copying, or you do a Control C. This is one of the big problems with DD. You're not going to get any notification, no text, no warning until you either do a Control C, or the disk dies, or when it finishes copying. Now you may be wondering, man, DD, is there a way to, let's say, speed up the copying of the drive? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can speed it up. Anyone cook here? Anyone was ever like a burger cook? Anyone ever was a cook before in like a fast food restaurant? One of the ways that you can speed up the cooking of a burger is you use a spatula and go like that. Well, the equivalent of that in DD is to actually specify something called a block size, BS, at the end. So set both the input and output block size there in bytes, superseding, the operands. Okay. So the one warning that I will give you right now is, if you actually set a block size to be something big, let's say 100 megabytes or something, you risk losing information. So although you actually speed up the copying a little bit, you run the risk of missing some data. So I'm just going to do 5 megabytes. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a DD. Everything is still the same with the one exception. I'm going to add a block size. I'm just going to copy it in 7 seconds. Hit the enter key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Here it is. 606 seconds. Let's see how much do we get. Well, 576. Okay. Maybe I was a little off. That's okay. But I'm not going to make a copy of it. But now you get the idea of how you use DD. I'm just going to delete everything right now. I'm just going to eject the disk. And I'm back. There we go. So you may be wondering, are you ever going to use DD? Well, the answer is yes. If anyone ever have a Raspberry Pi the Raspberry Pi is one of these like what used to be a $35 computer. It's more like $75, accounting for inflation and everything, and a lot of other like advances. So if you go to Raspberry Pi and you want to download the operating system for one of these devices, go to software, here it is, download, manual download, okay. Your options are here. This is a good one. You download the ISO of the operating system, and then once you download the ISO of the operating system to put on a Raspberry Pi, well, you need to put the operating system on an SD card. Okay? So actually, when you download a file and you want to make a copy of that entire disk image onto an SD card, you need to run, well, DD. There it is. Okay? Using I'm trying to clone my Linux operating system on my, so the way you do that is Well, this is actually a backup. This is pretty cool. So to make a backup of an entire operating system, you do /dev/sdx, which is your SD card. You save it to an IMG file, then put in a new SD card, do the IM file of that image file, IMG file that you just created, and then do system. So yeah, that's how you copy stuff from disk to disk. Okay, so wait a minute, we're gonna do forensics here. We already used DD. Okay, but if we're gonna do forensics on something, is there an example of a disk that we can use? And the answer is, of course there is. HTTPS www.cs.tufts.edu/comp/116/evidence, and you can play along here. Okay, here's the evidence. Now I'm gonna download it, save it to my desktop. Okay, boom. Don't think I need this anymore. That's fine. All right, folks. See if you're paying attention. How many files are on my desktop right now? How many files? It sounds like a dumb question, but we need to make sure that we're sane. How many files are on my desktop right now? It sounds stupid. Yes. There's only one. Okay, that's good. So Sean sees one. Okay, everyone sees one. Now, because this is a DMG file, Mac OS can try to expand it to a disk. Now, yes, I can confirm, I can say that this evidence.dmg file was created using DD. No, I'm not trying to trick us. Speaking of, okay, unless there's any hidden files, now I'm going to expand this DMG file. There you go. It's extracted. I have a drive here now. So, you ready? I'm going to open up this drive. How many files do you see? On the screen. How many files do you see? Okay, I only see 2. And it even says it right here, 2 items. 47.9 megabytes. Okay, now, I'm going to open up the terminal again. I do need the terminal. /vol. And I'm going to go to the evidence directory. ls-l is only going to list 2 items. Okay, now I'm going to do an ls-la. How many items do you see here? Including, in this case, let's just even count. Let's just even count. Dot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I only see 9 entries. Okay, there's a lot of hidden folders and files. There's a lot of hidden files here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hidden files, and then the 2 that are visible. Okay, we got that already, right? We got that? All right. So your eyes are not playing any tricks. This is no magic trick at all. One more thing while we are here. I'm going to go back to my desktop. Okay. I'm going to calculate. You know what? I'm not even going to do anything like special. I'm just going to do an MD5 of evidence.dmg. MD5 is quick and dirty. Now, of course, we know MD5 is broken and not secure, you know, but it's still good enough for like simple things that we're doing. So you can see the MD5 of evidence.dmg is C9 all the way to 4434. Now calculating the checksum of a file that you're working with, any file that you're working with, is absolutely critical. Why? Because one thing that you've learned is, the whole point of cryptographic hash function is to verify integrity. To verify integrity of any file. If you have many people that are downloading evidence or people working on evidence.dmg and people are getting like different cryptographic hashes, like MD5 values for evidence.dmg, something's terribly wrong. The evidence is probably corrupted or got tampered with. That's why doing checksums of any file that you're working with in a forensics case is absolutely critical for integrity purposes. Now, we're going to keep this here. So I'm going to keep this window open. But now what we're going to do is, here we have evidence.dmg. We've only seen two files. What we're going to do now is to uncover any file that got deleted. By the way, just for fun. Alright. And there's one text file here. That's the picture. Okay? I'm going to eject everything here. And now I'm going to use Kali Linux. I have an instance of Kali Linux running on my home and my home lab right here. I'm going to unlock. And what I am going to do, I'm going to open up my terminal. Hey. Can I shrink this down? I guess not, but I guess people can see anyway. CD workspace. I'm going to clear, okay. CD forensics. I'm going to do an RM minus RF output. And I have a copy of evidence.dmg here. Now, is this the same evidence.dmg that is here? Well, remember, it's C9 yada 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 4434 is the MD5 checksum of evidence.dmg. You know what? Screw this. Screw this. I'm going to do an RM evidence.dmg. I'm going to blow this away. I'm going to re-download it all. I'm going to re-download it just to be safe. There. Evidence.dmg. MD5 from evidence.dmg. Oh! Oh, that's not good. Really? Oh, that's not good. Wait a minute. That is not good. That is not good. Let me do another. Oh, I think I know what happened. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, folks. I know what happened. I can explain. Yeah, we have a violation here. Yeah, I know what happened. That's not good, but that's okay. MD5 evidence DMG that we just downloaded. 2CC A81E. Is this what we got here? Yep. Alright. here is a very interesting thing about Mac OS. Anytime you open up a disk image like this, it screws up the checksum. Very odd thing. Okay? Anytime you actually run and like you double click on evidence.dmg, changes the checksum. Strange as hell. Okay? Very weird. Yeah, you still see the picture. Okay. But still, we just proved that we have downloaded a consistent evidence. This is good. This is good. 2cc yada 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 A81E. Fine. A81E. Does that mean that something has changed in terms? You got it. Hold on. Why does it? Yeah, so anytime you double click on a file, that's weird. No. Yeah, the something gets changed all the time. I don't have the explanation what it is. I'll find out. But yeah, so the answer is wouldn't it be corrupted? So anytime you open up the evidence.dmg, something did get changed. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is, okay, we have downloaded evidence.dmg. Let's use SalutKit and Autopsy. What SalutKit and Autopsy is, what a beautiful site. Okay, got a home. Open source digital forensics. SalutKit.org. Free and open source. Autopsy is the graphical interface. You know, that analyze hard drives and smartphones. Okay, so it looked like the old version was built, the newer version is built in Java or Python. SalutKit is a collection of command line tools in a C library that allows you to analyze disk images and recover files from them. Okay, it is used behind the scenes in Autopsy. So Autopsy is the front end, SalutKit is the back end. Here. Now, on Kali Linux, there is an older version of SalutKit that is used and installed. So to fire up Autopsy is sudo Autopsy. Now, you really need to be sudo. Sudo Autopsy. There it is. Keep this process running and use Control-C to exit. Open an HTML browser on the remote host and paste this URL in. So it's http://localhost:9999 Autopsy. Here. And here. So what we're going to do is localhost 9999 Autopsy. Okay. Fine. So what we're going to do, this is a really old version of the Autopsy Forensics browser. So I'm going to create a new case. Case number, we're going to call this case number Twitch 2025 04 17. Okay. Okay. Investigators' names. We're going to do Tundra 9898. And B, we're going to do Cybersecurity Growth. Okay? I'm going to add 2 investigators on here. Okay, we'll add Natural Seasons as a backup. Okay, you can just put whatever. It's optional. Create a brand new case. Okay, now we must add a select name. We're going to use Tundra as a lead investigator. Add a host. The name of the computer that's being investigated. Okay. Okay, we'll leave it as it is. Time zone. Ooh, okay. Path of an alert hash database, an optional hash of database of known bad files. You can also put in a database of known good files. So, why is this going to be helpful? Where do you use hash databases for? A good example is child pornography. So, when you're doing a child porn investigation, there is a database of just hashes. I mean, looking at that stuff can be extremely trying. Looking at that stuff is extremely traumatizing. So instead of looking at the files, what happens is there is a database of just, known images and their checksum. So instead, what happens is you load up a disk image, it opens it up, and then it just goes through every file on a file system, and if the file matches one of the files in a database, you got a match. That's it. Now you have your evidence. If the hash is found on your system, that's it. It's bad. All right, you found your image. You don't even need to look at it. Dropbox does this too to look for any copyright information. Okay, so I'm going to add a host. Hey, now we must import an image file for this host, a DMG file. Add an image. Now, damn, I need create a new tab. Again, my PWD. Oop, is this it? Yep. Make a copy. Copy the selection. Paste it in. Evidence.dmg. This is a disk. Now you can actually make a direct copy of it, or do you want to do an alias? We'll just do an alias, symlink. Okay? Symlink is an alias. We don't want to be making another copy of a 50 megabyte file. You certainly don't want to make another copy of like a 80 gigabyte file. Just do a symlink, hit next. Here it is. Data integrity. An MD5 hash can be used to verify the integrity of the image. Well, we already did that. Okay? We already did that. We're going to ignore. File system details. Okay. Hit add. Hit OK. Alright. Now, that's it. Now we can start, Tundra and I can start analyzing the disk. Now you remember on evidence.dmg when we open it up on Mac OS land, you saw like only 2 files. Let's do an analyze here. Analyze the first partition, which is raw. Analyze. Oh, to start analyzing this file, choose an analysis mode from the above. Oh, this sucks. There used to be the file analysis tab should have been lit, but no. Image details. 512 byte sectors. Keyword search. Let's search for things like IP. ASCII contents. Okay, so I found some stuff. Credit card number, let's say date. That sucks. I don't want this one. Okay. There's nothing much here. Alright, let's go to the FAT16. Let's analyze that. There's nothing interesting on the raw image. Let's analyze the Mount C, the C drive. Okay, file analysis is now here. It's now available. That's nice. By the way, what's image data like? Ooh, it's a little more involved now. Evidence. All the disk sectors, not bad. Let's go to file analysis now. File browsing mode. In this mode, you can view files and directory content. Okay, see what we can find. Okay, invalid characters with a calculate. Oh. Well, now. Anyone want to take a guess what red means? Anyone want to take a wild guess what the red color means? No. Mm-mm. Anyone remember? Okay, now you may know what the briefs may have seen these blue ones. Oh yeah. Check this out. A whole bunch of now these are not hidden files. Are you ready? Mmm. Hey, how the fuck do I? There we go. You didn't see these earlier, did you? I don't think you saw these images before. Wait, didn't you see this one? Nope, you didn't see that one. But here's the blue. Stack.txt. Yeah, that was in the original disc that you saw, the original image that you saw. You already know this. Stack Overflow. Are these pictures from are these images from the Bikini Bottom Twitter Reddit? You got it! And of course, you've seen that one. I mean, that one was in the original disc. That's plenty of pictures that we've never saw. Oh, yes. So, make a long story short, the files marked in red are are deleted files. Anything that is in red are the deleted files. And we know we're not playing any tricks. We double checked that we checked the checksum of the evidence.dmg file on both Mac OS and on Linux. You know, same checksum, same MD5 checksum. Everything consistent. All right. Can we do a keyword search? Yeah, sure. Let's do IP. Okay. You can even do keyword search for things like CC, credit card numbers. Okay. Yeah, that's plenty of deleted files or pictures that we haven't seen. I think we've seen enough. You know, this is one of those nice things that, hey, I think we can say close the host. We can close the host and close the case. Case closed. Yes, it's just a bunch of bikini bottom Twitter Reddit pictures. And that is our report. Yeah, that is our report. Bikini bottom Twitter Reddit pictures. Look like this person who actually had the evidence is just have a fetish for bikini bottom Twitter Reddit subreddit. Okay, so I'm still gonna leave this here. I'm gonna open. I'm gonna come back. But there's one thing is I want to take a trip down memory lane. You know what I want to? You know what? I want to go incident handling next week. The final the final episode of this course of this season. The reason why I'm going to save incident handling for the end is because it ties in really nicely with where do you go from here, professional development opportunities, like courses that you take to learn more. And I'm going to give you all a little heads up right now. Everything that you've done in this course so far, everything that you've done, you know, you learned a lot. I know you did. I mean, everyone did. Everyone learned quite a lot. But you're just barely scratching the surface. I want to give you a trip down memory lane of a presentation I did for the HTCIA in September 22nd of 2009. Still remember, 2009 was over 10. Hey, blink of an eye is going to be 20 years. Blink of an eye is going to be 20 years. But the reason why I want to show you this presentation is, I did work with the HTCIA many years ago, and a lot has changed and a lot hasn't changed. One of the things that has changed is something called Backtrack. Backtrack is better known as Kali Linux now. Okay? And this was a monthly meeting for professional development. I had a grand ass time doing this. It was only in 2009 that forensic stuff was introduced into Backtrack, which is now Kali. Okay? Some of these things that you have already seen. So we use DD. And one of the biggest problems with DD is you're not going to see any notification, no message, no text, no nothing. And the Department of Defense, they have a group. Oh, what is the name of it? I always forget the name. DoD DC3. 16 years. The Department of Defense Cyber Crime Center. Want to give a shout out to Jim Christie. Jim used to head the Cyber Crime Center at the Department of Defense. He's retired now. He still does some of this work. But I remembered when I first met Jim at DEF CON in 2007. Guy gave me a challenge. He gave me a challenge coin, which is right next to me all the time. Department of Defense challenge coin. I keep this with me. Want to give you still a motivator. Yeah, period. Got a retired in 2013. And his group did some really, really amazing stuff. They were, DC3 all about forensics, and they come up with some really good stuff. And one of them is a souped up version of DD. Namely, it resolved a lot of the problem with DD, has a status bar. Can be used to wipe disk. It calculate hash the MD5 checksum on the fly. So there is some verbosity. There's some notification that, hey, I'm still alive. This thing is not dead yet. Okay? DCFLDD. Is that part of I think that still should be. Ow. Hey. Can I stall it? Yeah. There it is. DCFL-DD, an enhanced version of DD for forensics and security, part of Kali. There it is. Yeah. Good times. DD Rescue. DD will totally you over if you are actually doing DD on a damaged disk. DFDD_rescue is to do rescue damaged disk. And it's not going to screw you over. But one of my favorite tools is Foremost. Foremost it was also developed by DC3 and is used for file carving. Now, instead of using your heavyweight EnCase, Salute Kit Autopsy, it just rips out any kind of file that you want from a disk image. So, for example, you want to rip out like JPEG files off of like a disk image, like evidence.dd. Foremost, skip the first 100 block, specify your file type and your input file. And so here I am you know. Hey. So, man, Foremost. Social platform and Foremost is also, I believe, is also available for Mac OS. Recover files using headers, footers, and data structures. File formats that you can recover include JPEG, PNG, GIF, BMP, EXE, MPEGs. There you go. So how you do it is Foremost minus S. So I'm going to extract all the JPEG files off of evidence.dmg. Watch what happens. Bing! Job done. Output file is created. More audit. Hold on. ls more audit.txt. Found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 JPEG files. 5 files extracted. Oh, my head. There you go. So, can we look at all the 5 files? Yeah. 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 The Blessed Madonna. But that was for another CTF game like a year ago. All the JPEGs. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the deleted files. Yeah. Yeah. Fun times. Do it again. And instead of JPEG, you do PNGs in evidence. Same thing. PNGs, only one. I don't think anyone saw this one. Fun times. Good memories, great memories. Yeah. Yeah, only have great memories of this was, I don't remember much from my 20s, but doing this kind of work, had a blast. It set me up for many years to come. There's also another tool called Veneto that just extracts information from thumbs.db file. If you're like on Windows land. Yeah, we've done that before. But these were the big forensics tools here. What's that flaming image of? Oh, this one? Hold on. I think that's a good place to end it. Hold on. That's a good question. Hold on, I want to come back to this. Let's do that again. This one, you mean? By the way, Natural Seasons is not a prop. This one? That picture, you mean? That the flaming picture you're thinking that you were asking about? Okay, you ready, Natural Seasons? I want to introduce you, So I'm done with forensics for today. So today, I'm done with forensics. Now you've actually seen, how you recover files removed with RM. But now, let's talk about the future. FRAC. I want to introduce you to FRAC. Hold on. I'm gonna Control C out of this. I'm gonna log out. I don't need this anymore. Okay, I'm gonna log out of my system. Alright. FRAC. I want to introduce you to one of the oldest and quintessential hacker magazines in the history of mankind, and that is called FRAC. FRAC started in the mid-80s. It is a magazine written by hackers for hackers. Yeah. Written by hackers for hackers. Originally, covers everything from freaking anarchy, physical security, cracking, hacking, cryptography, counterculture. I like to explain to people that Frack is like the hardcore version. It's like a really hardcore version of the 2600 magazine. 2600 magazine feels like a little bit more. Is another hacker magazine that's out there. But it definitely feels like there's more political, okay, and digital freedom and advocacy. But Frack is like hardcore, like can give you some hardcore technical work. And here it is, frack.org. Yes, yes, yes. I have never written for them. Go to frack.org. 40th edition. Oh, there's a physical copy? Sweet. $35. So there's some hardcore technical topics here. But let's take a look. What do we want? The articles now that, the folks that the team at Frack want are like exploitation, persistent fuzzing and code analysis, binary obfuscation, anti-forensics tools. We talked about forensics today, but not anti-forensics. Web application security, cloud security, data weakness, exploit mitigation, malware analysis. Diaspora of, that's a good term. Malware defense, exotic reverse engineering, scene history, and tales from the crypt. Issues, there you go. And some of the most seminal papers in cybersecurity, in the field of cybersecurity, were on Frack. Like Smashing the Stack for Fun and Profit by Alif One. This is like the paper on buffer overflow. Smashing the Stack. What issue is it? Here it is. Issue number 49. Here it is by Alif One. This is a paper on buffer overflow. What year was it? 49. Issue number 49. There it is. Released in 1996. Steganography. And here it is. The paper on buffer overflow. Smashing the Stack for fun and profit. Yeah. Like, this is one of those system papers that people gotta read. But that is the history of buffer overflow. Like, that is the one. This one from 2009. Developing Mac OS kernel rootkits, malloc, using the Objective-C runtime. So much to learn, so much. There's only so much to read, too. Internet voting, a requiem of a dream. The shadow over Firefox. A connecting Ruby on Rails application. Oh my god, I do not miss Ruby on Rails. I do not miss Ruby on Rails. 2021 issue, so it's only comes out like it's not like a monthly magazine. It's not like a quarterly, as in 20. It comes out like randomly. Oh, the Cybergrand Shellfish. I know them. This is the CTF team. Giovanni Vigna, I want to give a shout out to Giovanni. When I started creating this course, guess whose notes I used? Giovanni's. Never said that to anyone until today. And glad he became a full professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, better known as UCSB. Well, folks, we're out of time. But now, hey, happy hacking. There's a lot, always more to learn, more to see. Um, yeah, but that's going to be the gist of next Thursday. The final course, final episode is where do you go from here? I'm going to talk about things that you got to do on your own time, courses that you can take free and not free, and also talk about the about grad school as well too, and certifications in cybersecurity. That's it, folks. Yeah, yeah, today was fun. Thank you all so much. See you next week. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Yes. Hey, can I type this in? Thank you all. Very special thanks to Sean. Thanks for being here, man. Thank you. Thanks, Sean. All right.